Okay, let me show you what I did to recreate or emulate the same process that I usually do on the analog mixer. So again, I didn't have an analog mixer. I had to record all the machines directly through the audio interface, but I had to, in a way, emulate the let's say, process of using distortion and then EQing. So I did the same using plugins with the same like chain. So first of all, I use distortion from it's a stock plugin distortion from Logic. So I added 10 dBs of drive. That was the first thing that I did. This is the sound. This is the 909 kick without any process. So the first thing, adding distortion. Then the second thing, adding EQing. I added a lot of low end around the root note. I cut some low mids. I pushed a lot of high mids to get this like 800 kind of, and high end around 8K. And also I used a lot of compression. And then in the end, after the compression, I used extra EQing. I pushed more of the root note of the kick, and I cut again some 200 and in this area from 500 to 1K. So that was the final result. I used exactly the same processing for each channel. So for example, the hi-hat, again, distortion, EQing. This is the EQing of the hi-hat. I cut some low end and some low mid frequencies also from the filter, and I pushed the high end. And in the end, I added some delay, the same way that I would do on my analog mixer. Usually I have a send return channel on my analog mixer, and I always have a delay, a reverb, and some distortion from the preamp. So I'm sending a little bit of the hi-hats to the delay too. I'm sending a little bit of the clap to the reverb, just to add extra layers in the background. I did the same for the rides. Again, distortion, EQing, in the end a little bit of delay. Of course, I use the same processing for the bassline. Distortion, EQing, then I use sidechain compression. This happens if you record the kick and the bass on the analog mixer together. This happens in a more natural way. They interact with each other. You have, of course, to mix them a little bit, using a little bit of EQing, but using a lot of distortion and recording them together, this blending happens through the analog circuit. In this case, here in the box, I have a ghost channel that is, again, the kick playing exactly with the same processing. And I use sidechain compression with this ghost channel. So let's say every time that the bass and the kick are playing together, the bass is kind of ducking a little bit. So this is the process that I used to kind of emulate the, let's say, analog recording with some plugins. Hope you will find this useful, and maybe you can try it on your own productions. Thank you, and see you on the next one.